All right, guys. So we are live now. It's good evening, everyone who have joined us. We are very excited to have you guys here.
So we are live now.
One second.
It's good evening, everyone who have joined us. We are very excited to have you guys.
Sorry. Yeah. Good evening, everyone who have joined us like that. We are very happy to have you here. Welcome to our AMA session on AI and the impact that AI has for developers' career, right? How a developer is going to manage in this new day and age career. So we are excited to have you guys. Obviously, I want to know where you guys are from. You can put down on your chat like where you guys are from, where what you're doing. We would like to know a lot about you guys also who is joining us. We are currently live on LinkedIn and YouTube as well, so do put down in your chat. And obviously people who have joined us also here on the webinar as attendees, do put down in the chat where you guys are from, what do you do, anything, any interesting fact about yourself. Introduce yourself with each other. And yeah, with that, let's just start with the session. I'll be given a small introduction. This AMA session is hosted by Rebase by Recro. So a lot of people who don't know about Rebase by Recro, I'll just be given a small introduction about that. I'll just share my screen 1 minute. All right. So today's session is going to be what developers are missing out in AI's era. So it's I think like more than 50% of you guys, like as developers, you AI is a new technology that is there, and you guys would be curious about how it's going to impact in your career. Obviously, AI is helping you a lot in your day-to-day work life and everything, and plus it's giving you more opportunities also to try out and explore your careers and all. But then how it is going to impact, what are the negative and positive points, that is something which we are going to be discussing today. So as I mentioned before itself, this AMA session is hosted by Rebase by Recro. So we are a community of having 3,000 plus developers here, and we are very much active on Discord. Part of being part of our uh, community is we have a lot of mentors from, say, Google, Uber, Microsoft, and so on. These mentors are very much actively present in our community. They do a lot of mentorship sessions, which on different topics such as career guidance, system design, interview prep, and so on, like that. They have been dedicating their time to help the community members, uh, flourish a lot. And apart from that, also we do have offline meetups happening under Rebase. So currently, as in today itself, we did have a third installation of Ahmedabad meetup, which went really very successful. Very excited to share that very soon on our page. Of meetups happening in different parts of the cities across India. And the main goal for us is to help you developers, meet each fellow developers in your cities itself, grow network and share informations and knowledge and grow together. So if you are if you want to be, if you're not part of Rebase yet, and if you are curious to know what Rebase is, and you want to see, we are very much active on Discord. You can join us. I'll be sharing the Discord link below in the chat. You can join us there. Right. So coming to today's session, we have a speaker here, Saksham. He's having a experience of 6 years and plus 3+ year experience in AI. So he's going to be a very much valued person to talk about how things are going on in a developer's footpath like that, because he do have a lot of experience, and currently he's working as a software engineer, and he have also worked with a lot of brands such as Microsoft, Myntra, and so on. He have also developed a niche in large scale AI applications. So I've shared the LinkedIn profile here. If you guys want to, connect with Shaksham, you guys can take it. I'll be sharing the LinkedIn link also in the chat. And coming to our host for today's event, Dirgayu, he has been a very much active member in our community. He's a community member, and he has been a very much active member in our community, always there as a very strong backbone for Rebase. And he's a very gem of a person to have in our community. He's having over 6.5 year plus experience, and I have worked with brands like Movil, Telebrains, and so on. One thing, a fun fact about Durgayu I can give is like from a childhood itself, he did have passion to become a software developer, and that's what he's doing now, following his passion, and he's doing an amazing job at what he's doing right now. I'll be sharing his profile also with you. You can connect with them. Yeah, and that's it. I'll just stop sharing the screen. So this is basically an introduction. I'm just going to give the agenda of how the things are going to be. Uh, One thing, we want to make this session very interactive. So do post in a lot of questions what you want to do, what you want. I mean, sorry, what you want. Like you can post in a lot of questions. We'll be taking the questions towards the end of the session. And yeah, do post a lot of questions. I'll be sharing the links also, as I mentioned, of the Gayu, Shaksham in the chat, and I'll also be sharing a community link. Do try to explore our community. So yeah, before we start this session, if Shaksham, Dirgayu, you guys want to introduce yourself a little more further, you can do that, and with that we can start with section. All right,
Yeah.
over to you guys.
Thank you, Candida. Yeah, Saksham, you can go on.
Sure. So as the slides mentioned, I am around 6+ years of experience engineer. I've worked previously with Microsoft, Oracle, Myntra, and currently I'm working at Multiplier as a senior software engineer. My role does include mostly around backend and AI, and I do a lot of these sessions, mentorships, and as well. And from an overall holistic point. Over to you, Durgai.
Yeah. So I have 6.5 years of experience. I worked on product-based companies. I worked on Movie, which is a basically a OTT-based platform. Currently, I'm in Yellow.ai, where we are dealing with voice words. So whatever the product that has been crafted by a product team, I am building voice words from it. So yeah, pretty much close to how NLP works, how AI works, how speech to text and text to speech works. Yeah, I'm getting pretty much exposure to these things.
Yeah. So let's start with the questions.
Yeah, second, so we have shared a link to join people, right? So people have sent us a lot of questions here. They have a buzzword AI, and currently Devin is going on. Again, Devin is exposed to so many things again. So people are having a lot of doubts there too, as they want to get a clearance about it. So we have certain kind of questions. First thing, which is very common, is how a developer can learn about prompt engineering to cater AI. How you wanna cater this?
So prompt engineering, it's a very important skill nowadays. And I would say like hundreds of people have released hundreds of resources. So
Yeah.
even OpenAI, you can refer to the like official guide. And there are like a couple of courses you can find it on GitHub as well. But one thing about this is it's more of a kinesthetic and tactile skill also, which means you actually have to practice. You have to hit and run, and you have to redo again and again. So not all of your prompts, and sometimes the model itself, what you're going on, will lead on to how your prompts are going to be defined. For example, GPT does have some tendencies to hallucinate. So your prompt have to be arranged like that. So it comes with the experience. It comes with the and also about how your data is defined. If you're working on a custom trained model, how your data is defined is also going to have an impact on your prompt. Then there are standard techniques also, but it's all about practice.
And what I probably think is prompt engineering is a most important tool. Everyone should learn about it. Like it is how basically how you can make a someone work, right? So
Yeah.
the very precise and clear prompt you'll write, you'll get the precise answers about it. Yeah.
Sooner or
So
later, I
now
feel
with
it will
the
be more like Google query now.
yes.
So
Yeah. So nowadays, most of the things like people are more into development and all. So most of the tasks are done by AI also. Like even when I do something, I just repeating my code itself. I do take help of GPTs and all, right? So one question that arises from here is how we can make ourselves more efficient developers by using GPTs and all.
sure. See, one thing about developer efficiency and is about how can you concretize the process itself. So let's say you start with the whenever you working in a team, or let's say on an assignment or project, you have your whole structure defined how you will approach the problem first. You first of all define it, then possible solutions, evaluate them, and then you come up to a solution. AI, like everywhere else, even in the businesses, if you see, there is a whole process defined. We can leverage AI to optimize those things. Example, you already have a candidate structure of your problem statement defined. Let's say if you want to pick up an RSS feed design, something like that, you already have that. You have to push it on real time, and those standard structures are there. But to optimize the underlying backbone work, which is the most immediate use case you can think of, maybe write the structure of the design, or define the template classes, or observer, or this these patterns. You already defined that the skeleton. Then you just concretize that and maybe optimize into things like testing and all that. So the point is, your processes have to be efficient. AI will actually help you speed them up. That is level one. Second, you can redesign your process, evaluate your maps. Third level to think about this is also you can automate a lot of stuff, making complex instruct chains, employing multiple models. Those are the things you can help yourself with. But that's a very complex end. I guess there's a project Devin which is already leveraging that sort of thing to use that, the complex instruct chains.
Yeah. So, and one thing is like how we can prioritize our user experience design in AI projects and what method we use to use AI as a secure thing, right? Like suppose we are writing some of the codes, we are writing our own logics and all. So how this AI is very, safe to write all codes and put the sensitive informations there.
Well,
What do you
so
think
to
about it?
touch that point, actually,
Yeah.
there's always going to be a limit, a concern about safety and security. That's why a lot of these companies, they actually, when you try to custom train an embedded model, there's a whole private space to an enterprise given. So things like shelling, just like in any cloud environment, your space of execution is always maintained. And as much as tries, it's advisable, it's to leverage that framework only. Having said that, developers should be mindful that if your organization doesn't allow to use these tools, maybe putting your code over there is not a good idea. It's actually going to violate a dozen of laws, dozens of laws.
Again, like putting sensitive information is all about how sensibly you are using AI, right? So, like if you
Yes.
want to, you either you can manipulate data or either you can replicate some of the other data to put and get the information.
Mhm.
That is how sensible person should be writing the prompts and be giving the information to the AI. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and what is the ethical consideration should be developers keeping in mind? Like, what is while creating an AI system? Now, apart from using AI, what about the creating an AI system itself? What should be in the mind of a person? Either not a big kind of like building an LLM kind of thing, but a kind of
Mhm.
building some small tool which can automate certain tasks is also part of AI, right? So, what should be a developer kept in his mind while developing a AI models? Either
Well,
small, either big.
ethics have their different definitions, but let's keep this simple over here.
Yeah.
We are going to follow the norms, actually, the standards. Like we have SOCs, we have GDPR. These standards are already there, which means we do need to, let's say, when if you have to provide some data which profile, maintain anonymity, things trying to dissociate PII, that is very important. Large chunk of that will come from your data set and data refining itself, and how you actually feed the embeddings, that the training data and all. How do you run that? So that's going to be number one. About ethics, this is and one important thing about ethics is security. That your data should not be tampered. It should not be accessed by an adversary in any way. Authorization, RBAC, and these things are important.
Got it. Got it. And Sikam, what about if we say on-premises AI deployments? What are those kind of things? Like people are eager to think about and learn about it. What are AI implementation on-premises?
Okay, when we say about on-premises, this term has actually evolved over the years. When we like traditional sense of this on-premise is you have your hardware, your boxes, control boxes, even the the routers and the whole star and mesh topologies or SDNs implemented within. You have a big
Exactly.
space of warehouse and renting and all that. So nowadays, it doesn't happen like that. It's more or less you go for a subscription model, but that whole space it's just reserved for you.
Huh.
The whole infra is provided. So having said that, again, the same norms apply. So if you're using your own resources to model and implement AI, first of all, you need to take care of the hardware itself. That like very few people talk about. Like obviously, NVIDIA is in like talks now, but maintaining that hardware and everything, you need to understand what you're getting out, and that will actually define your model's capabilities. Actually, the ceiling of it. Obviously, you do need to consider other things like network storage and whole knowledge base management and these other components. And when you are running multiple instances, do need to maintain your own firewalls. Those important things. So that comes up at a cost. On-prem AI is generally helpful in many cases where I think like about banks or someone who's actually dealing with confidential data, medical records, very important over here, or something like research, or if you're going to do something, that's where generally it's used.
Maybe we can say like on-premises banking system AI, where we reduce the human interaction and bank has his own, they have their own data or the customer's data that can be answerable from AI, right? Like I want my statement. If user is saying something in a front of AI model, we can say like we have in Bangalore, we have that DG Yatri kind of thing, right? Where a model keeps serving us. And the same way we can put some AI models in banking system also, where we can directly ask what is my bank account, what was my bank balance on this data, and that can be very answerable by AI model itself without having so much human interaction and involvement in this, right? We
Well,
can do this,
that
right?
what you're speaking about is generally the application side of it.
Yeah.
So if something you're searching, it's already we have efficient systems for that. Like even for RDBMS, we can see like 400,000 queries per second was the is the median threshold which we see so far.
Yeah.
Where AI comes in is like when you're like, so the basic level of things which banking system uses for insights, and very important over there is fraud detections
Yeah.
and fraud preparations. So if and also I came across this one study some months ago about how do you uncover like there was a lot of talk about these Pandora papers and all these money laundering things going on. How do you leverage insights from there? Like instead of mapping every transactions, how do you manage the patterns over there? There's a whole deep net defined. So think of in those applications where you actually require intelligence and optimization of processes around that. So like very good example you gave about Digiyatri, efficient biometric matching,
Yes.
biometric profiling, gene profiling, very important. They got California state level. We all know that story, but those things are going to be optimized very much, and especially when devices are going to have hardware chips, AI chips, and there's a small transformer model chip coming up. So these things are going to go tremendously fast
Yeah.
and localized. Very important.
How one can be updated continuously themselves with the AI things revolving around. Yeah, now now
Very
we are
good.
coming up to learning and all, like how to get updated and how to be the on the very top of it.
Very good questions. I want to personally give the credit to somebody who actually asked it.
Yeah.
So thing about this is it's a very rapidly evolving field, and even after being here for 3 years, I would say I barely I need to be on my toes to be updated about it. Having said that, you can actually go on with the research angle of it. You can approach NeurIPS or very reputed AAAI, those conferences and those papers. Also, you might want to follow these very important blogs which come in, let's say from Hugging Face and OpenAI itself. And then a lot of other papers, individual professors, researchers do follow professors who are actually actively working on these.
Yeah. So one thing like
And the products keep on coming in, follow the company's announcements. Yeah, you can always try to be one step ahead. So
Yeah. So even I can suggest something like we have a one application which is Substack. Substacks, if you can select your topics and all, it merges all your like you don't have to subscribe for other developers or entrepreneurs to learn
yeah,
about it. Substacks already organize it for you and it gives you a lot of things to study. So Substack is a very good source of learning.
brilliant,
When
brilliant.
I mentioned in my previous session also like for system design, Substack is a very good thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, Saksham, like people are more afraid of losing jobs due to AI.
Mm.
What about this?
Interesting. Yeah, so we have seen one thing. Part of the answer, which is generally given to everybody, is like when industrial revolution came in, like the traditional jobs did not reduce that way. They say that it transformed. But there's also an angle that the number of people required also reduced over time. And obviously, there were things that went around in that period. So something similar is going to come up. See, being very honest, if you're stuck up into something which is repetitive, which is going to uh, which can be easily automated. Now, the definition of easily automated is going to change, and it's changing at a rapidly, scaringly rapid speed. And that being said, if you let's say sometimes if your whole job profile is defining certain scripts or certain which can be easily automated, and that is going to for sure be streamlined and using a few instruct models. We already see Devin coming in the picture. Very important over here. Think about if I there's also one research about it. If you actually have to replace developers as a concept, let's say if you have to replace the programmers, let's say Google actually made this POC long back. Because these programming languages, Java, C++, C Sharp, everything, they work on a translation model largely, compilation and interpretation. That adds so eventually the machine understands the assembly code itself. And the thing about machine code is it is in the same space. If you see von Neumann architectures and the way we built around multiple chips, even now, the instruction set and the data set is the same in the processor, which means if data can be generated, why not instructions?
Yeah, exactly.
So Google actually made a POC paper out of it, and they actually uncovered fastest sorting algorithms, things which humans would have taken years, 75 years to do. That's what they say. And they generated all in assembly code because humans require translations, and those things add a lot of inefficiencies. Sometimes even for security design, there's a lot of processor that randomly add null knobs, those things inside the assembly code. Think about a system which will remove everything. So Devon is an interesting project which we can learn from and model. So the whole anxiety about it is we don't know what is going to happen.
Yeah.
See, any kind of anxiety can actually be removed only when you actually know. And by knowing doesn't mean just theoretical knowledge. Start experimenting. Start being comfortable around the idea, because this is going to be the future. We are sure about it.
Yeah.
And we have read reports. Companies have started automating a lot of these call procedures. And even a couple of months back, I had this experience myself about this one particular company which used to lend some small amount of money. Their whole customer service department as a thing had been replaced with a sequence of instruction like chat prompts. The thing is, that was a slightly unpleasant pleasant experience, because my typing speed was a bit certain, and the model was generating text too fast.
Yeah.
So these things like these will come in, but we need to be sure we need to keep on evolving. So in this thing, what AI cannot truly replace. See, intelligence it can, but what programs the intelligence is important, because a lot of this generated content is also being fed to the data.
Exactly.
Especially the smaller models are more prone to this problem from the data generated from the larger models. Some people try to seal the vector search by retraining, reverse training. That's a different thing. But what you cannot actually automate is higher order thinking and strategy revisions.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not actually very easy.
Huh.
So let's say if I want to populate certain kind of data in the market, that you cannot automate from AI. At
Hmm.
least not what I've seen. You might be able to come up with a solution which we call in India jugaad, but that is not truly automatable. So you will need people. Think about how can you excel in those things. Maybe make yourself very efficient. Use it to learn. That's the simplest advice I will give you everywhere.
I
Use
heard
it.
somewhere like it's a very buzz code kind of thing in LinkedIn and Instagram also. Like AI will not replace your job, but the person using AI can.
Not just that. The strategist who is using AI will replace your job.
Uh,
It's not just that. And also, one thing is AI is not just chat GPT and models. There are 100 other things with along with AI. So, how many of you? I would like to pull up a question. How many of you are very familiar with econometric models? And you might have heard about this thing, deep fakes, but the underlying thing is GAN, generative adversarial networks. There is a whole science about effective computing. There's a whole other science about knowledge management, learning, deep learning, and how do you optimize these structures. Example, very interesting thing which I was reading about is one bit LLMs. So instead of maintaining whole probability vector, which is double and float, you make it into minus one to one or something. Microsoft actually published that paper. It's going to be much smaller and much sleeker model. And there's a whole interesting applications that come up with the peer-to-peer applications of those things, which are already being worked on.
yeah. So yeah, one kind of information is related to your job basically. See, among your team, right? So how much you promote using AI and how much you keep your other contributors or colleagues motivated for using not using AI and the afraid if they are scared of these things AI. How much co- contribution you put among your people, like your team and this thing?
So contribution, yeah, we are extensively involving reading about it. See, not everywhere AI is required also.
Huh.
If you're building a storage area network or something like that, or a whole data indexing system, that you won't need much,
Hmm.
because that is pretty standard and it's defined. And there are other problems that industry solves. It's about the heat, it's about the cost. So there, I'm not talking about that. Keeping the motivation always comes from already motivated people. That's very important. So
Hmm.
we actually take up proactive steps to share content, share sessions like these, and individually from like even I get these advice consultations. They're like specific situations require specific advices. So that's a different set I'm not going into. But those are the most things which I can provide like for the interest of the common people.
Got it. Got it. And like in we are seeing like there are a lot of boot camps and education panels are going on currently. So what do you think, like how it should be promoted of using AIs and all?
One thing about these, see, like I mentioned previously, the best way to learn, we answered this with prompt engineering. The best way to learn is to actually use it, actually practically apply it. Same thing goes around here. I do understand there's a need for mentorship. There's a heavy need of advice. And if you find a reputable mentor, go for it. But make sure that you follow up with the actions in the backend. Because just theoretical knowledge won't help you at all.
Got it, Jijan, got it. Yeah. So, and how about your contributions on AI models? Like, have you worked on like AI things, right? So, how much contribution that you have personally put on some building LLMs or some building AI tools? What was your contribution over it? Like, how experienced how was your experience on building such things?
LLMs came to me as a part of a side project, and that's where I was designing some custom sets and custom embeddings on GPT-2 and 3. But most of my work what was around GANs, CNNs, and real-time image and video AI signal systems. That was
Yeah.
one of the work. Some of it I cannot mention on this call. It's protected, and also a lot of econometric models about financial systems and all those things, and how do you extrapolate information, find trends, and sentiment analysis around trends in the market. That's where I did explore NLP models. That's where. So NLP came to me as a secondary skill set. Not, it's not my primary skill set in AI. That's why I'm saying, think about the whole field and how other things are progressing, which will also come as a surprise when other things catch up very fast. Think about metaverse and augmented AI systems, and about Neuralink. You might have heard about these things. Interesting applications are going to come forward. It's not just the end over here. In fact, it's the onset actually.
Yeah, got it, got it, got it. And so, any more thing like you want to put in for our young folks who are deviating towards AI, towards development, and thing, what extra lights you want to put up?
First of all, don't see this as a threatening scenario. Like, I know the situations are going to be challenging, but don't feel threatened about these things. Don't feel afraid. That's one thing. But do take your proactive actions. Start learning. Start developing things, and also keep the expectations within the limits, because you're not going to expertise, like you're not going to get in this expertise in overnight. It's also, it's going to take time. It's like how the memory and the models work. When you start learning a skill, like you'll get up to a bump very fast, especially if you're going through an organized program. But then there's going to be a plateau, and then there's going to be a break. That's how human learning actually works. There's a whole lot of neural science. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah.
Got it, got it. And like I'll also add up some things on learning these things like AI, and foundation is very important. Basics and foundation are very important. If you are very close how things work, directly jumping into AI and all, just first of all learn little bit about how things are working. What are the foundations behind this? Once you are clear on the foundation, you'll be always know how the big things are working.
Yeah.
So I must say the foundation is most important thing for anyone. Like I have seen a lot of developers nowadays, they are doing good, but the thing is they directly jumped into some YouTube video where they see something and start building and all, but they spend 5 hours of the time seeing video, but they haven't spent 10 minutes in the documentation.
Yeah.
If people will spend 10 minutes of documentation, it will reduce their 3 hours of debugging the things or understanding the things. This is what my
Easily.
personal opinion is.
It's my personal experience actually.
Yeah.
Rather than going through asking help, and that was very early years. But yeah, documentation. If you are, you should be lucky if you have a very decent documentation, and most of these tools have very extensive documentations.
Yeah. Like people, what they do, what I've seen is right, like using Next.js. Like once Next was there, it was very buzz. Like every developer wanted to try it, and every developer wanted to build something over Next, right? So they
Mm.
went. I have seen my few folks. They went into the YouTube. They just replicated it, and I
Yeah.
asked something, then they just was blank at a point. The reason was they never went to the depth of it. They never went to the documentation how the things are working. So I have seen many developers when they start developing, then when they start building something, they start from YouTube instead of a documentation.
Yeah. So that impulse comes on like doing things in the shortest frame of time, which
Yeah,
uh, which makes us want to do take a lot of shortcuts. The thing is, when you are not established, as you mentioned, if your foundation and the base is not established, the
yeah,
whole tower is going to collapse. So it is going to take some time. That's what I mentioned. So keep the worries and the anxiety impulses out of the head. Now it's going to be hard. It's easy to say on online, I know, but it's going to be hard to implement. But that's why your implementation is going to work a lot.
yeah. So we have sort of questions, Saksham. I'll just go through it.
Sure.
Meanwhile, I think you are able to see chat screen, right? Like you can
Yeah.
also cater anything if you want.
Okay. So, the second, like I'm going to take this up. What are the ways to securely develop AI-driven apps using .NET API? It's like now I'm going to give a bit for like technology agnostic answer. It's like with everything, like I mentioned, implementing standard protocols, excess of information, and like tampering and all that stuff. We need to be that's the level one of safety net of the whole enterprise, the application. Second thing, there are standard strategies which we embed within the model itself. Sometimes we do have a inspector model differently. That happens on a very large scale. The pre-analysis or the embedding model itself will filter out things. So that's how these safety and security standards are implemented. Now, each company does it in a different way. Like example, GPT, it's a decoder only model. It's a feed forward model, which means it is pre-trained to arrive at certain conclusions. But BERT doesn't operate like that. BERT is a bi-directional encoder decoder model, so it can actually learn from the responses, and that's the way it works. So maintaining at these 7 chains, we have like we can have a filtration experience or entire filtration model. That's how on the technical side you implement these things. But nobody defines the basics and the human error. Very important. Don't try to design on basic principles, zero trust architecture. Use those things.
Got it. So there is one question, like I am a front-end developer, want to switch my career as an AI expert. So first of all, if you are a front-end developer and you want, or anyone wants to be the AI expert, so the thing is you can expertise yourself as an experience in AI only. If you are a front-end developer, you have experience in front-end, don't go for a random switch on AI, right? You can build what you can cater as a front-end developer to AI. Like if you see the front end of or your UI of the chat GPT, you can make something better out of it, or you can make something, a product kind of thing, AI product with a good AI or with a good front end kind of thing. So it's not like a thing like you want to switch to AI. AI is nothing different, but it's all the inputs you are putting on with your all experience. Like Saksham mentioned, technology doesn't is not a barrier, right? You can't say like you can't do anything in .NET. You can't say you can't do anything in Java, this kind of things, right? So always you have an option to do or to switch to AI with the profile you have. It's not a kind like if you want to switch from a particular tech stack to a AI tech stack. There is nothing kind of AI tech stack, right, Saksham?
Yeah, means certain specific tools and technologies are there, but in general, we don't consider it. We can call it an AI tech stack, and it's going to come up in future. But let's say it's about the processes and it's about the intelligence and the models involved. One thing is role of an AI engineer. So it's not a very defined role. Also, sometimes people use data engineer, which is more concrete role.
Yeah.
90% of the specs match there. An ML engineer is just on learning, but yeah, the definitions are very diluted and they're like not rigid definitions.
Yeah, exactly.
They're overlapping. Yeah,
So currently in
analytics.
industry there is nothing as a AI stack. Everything is what you build. In future it may
Yeah,
come. Yeah, I'm not sure about future. It may come kind of AI stack kind of thing, but it's nothing like from a full stack front end or back end you can switch to AI stack kind of thing.
no.
And there is a question for you, Saksham, how you are leveraging AI in your daily life or daily work, and if you are using, how you are using.
First of all, I am like using multiple models for my own efficiency. I have certain things defined like for certain products I do like I'm not writing unit tests anymore. And now don't tell this to my company, but yeah, they know the unit tests get generated and they're already doing that. Obviously, using Copilot, that's are the basics. I do something of my own on my own insight management and explorations on my own personal projects. Those things are there. There are certain processes which I have before we get into crazy imagining, it's not something like Tony Stark doing it. That's not what I do. It's basically my own knowledge management. If you have read about this thing, like this is really in testing phase right now, building a second brain.
Huh.
Already, like there are papers how people have used LLMs to build around their own knowledge bases content. So I'm just involving that and trying to generate different ideas from that. It hallucinates a lot right now, so not getting into those things.
Yeah. Coming to me, how I leverage this AI thing is in my, first of all, forget about my personal life. So if I say in my professional life, yeah, I do use a lot. Like we do training a lot, right? NLP training we always required for. We have a certain intention or addressance kind of thing. So like whatever the user is saying, what intention it is and what addressance can be moved to there. For basic trainings, yeah, I do use a lot GPT. I always give it prompt to generate certain utterances related to particular intent. It gives me a lot of utterances, so I can train, and the data are almost perfect. I can say 80%. Yeah, it's perfect kind of thing. And whatever we do have a product, like we have a piece of code where piece of models where we do certain code. So I have already explained the GPT about my model, and whatever I want to get it resolved, I just type like this is model, you know what model I use, sort these things out of this. So it helps me a lot. Yeah, so I do save a lot of time in brainstorming kind of thing, which can be easily put from GPT. So I don't brainstorm my things on very small things or few things. So yeah, I do use very frequently this GPT things. Yeah.
Mhm.
And one more question, Saksham, how to be prepared for the interview if someone has laid off?
Okay, so this is
This is a
largely,
very subjective question, I guess. Uh,
yeah, it crosses the boundary. Like so, if specific problems had to be dealt specifically, maybe technically you're super proficient, but you might lack the interviewing skill as well. So those things are not. We can take those things separately individually.
yeah, got it. Yeah.
Try to find out
Yeah,
the
this thing is, as I mentioned, this is very subject. Like, if someone is laid off, so there might be a lot of reasons, like why the persons are
yeah,
laid off and these things. Yeah, so I
all
don't
that
think this
emotion
is a
comes
good,
with it. But,
yeah, good place
so
to answer
one
this
thing
thing.
I
Yeah,
would
exactly.
offer this individual is like any other skill, practice, interview more, mock interview, leverage Pramp, these platforms everywhere. Maybe call me or the guy,
Ha, you can reach out to us anytime. Yeah,
and I go,
yeah.
like you can
So
reach out to Recro as well. That's
yeah,
in fact.
so there are a few questions, section that we already answered, like how to be ready and align ourselves with the Gen AI phase that we already answered, right? So I don't think like it needs to be catered again. And how much relevant will SDE, BA, or data science and data analytics job remain with the same boom in AI? So again, yeah, I think Saksham put a small light. We
Not
are already
really.
put it,
I
but
can take this
based
term
at it,
really.
huh. BA,
See,
I think business analyst kind of thing, right?
see, your job roles will be relevant. See, one kind of role where you're doing monotonous work that is going to surely be taken over. I mean, Copilot today itself is going to complete a lot of things. Like I already mentioned, I delegate all my unit tests to some model.
Hmm.
Your role as a software engineer or business analyst or data analyst is largely going to redefine itself on the strategy. Think about an investment banker, or think like just borrow those insights from there. Like people generally they're the strategist, and then they're people who collect a lot of analysis to support it, design experiments. It's pretty much like our job only, AI job only. Uh, so try to borrow intelligence where strategy is required, and also like one thing I would want to say: jobs are not going anywhere. This is going to change up, and yes, increase your personal efficiency because obviously it's going to happen like out of 10, the people who leverage
Huh.
strategically AI, like I mentioned, not the person who is using AI, the strategist who is using AI is going to take away that. Because
Exactly.
it's a simple numbers game. If I can achieve more productivity with 4 people, so the now it's also subjective because how companies will take it up. Because
Exactly.
let's say
Yeah.
if the domain of the industry is fixed, the mindset is fixed, you cannot grow anywhere. So then they'll be looking at eliminations. But then there are industries where people are incremental. So let's say if 10 developers are doing X, what?
Number of jobs.
Same 10 developers can make a 100X, 10X. So think in that direction, where you can grow. Sunrise sectors, those things.
Yeah. Like for
So it's not
like
a
for
dark tunnel. There's always a bright light at the end.
yes, and like for BAs or some data analyst role, if you got some inputs, right? If you want to cross verify and you think like some person is busy, like you got the API documentation, you can obviously check the documentation from AI, like this is correct or not. At least you can check whether the error responses or confirmation responses, success responses are correct or not. We can at least cater this thing like whether documentation thing is doing correct or not.
Yeah.
Like pitch desk, always we can have some certain things. That's how the your mental peace and your strategy works on working with AI. This is more important, I
Yeah.
guess.
About peace, one thing is if you don't see the progress happening, and progress is not always about the results. If you are making consistent actions, your mind will be at peace. Then I'm doing something about the problem. That's very important to keep that peace.
Yeah, got it. Anything else, Saksham? I think we have answered all the questions, and it was, I think it's we had a good input from you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess we are having few more questions from the Q&A session.
Yeah.
The Q&A this thing. Can we have a look at that also? So
Yes.
there's
Sure.
few questions from Darshan, Heath, and all that.
Yeah, Darshan, just a minute.
Mhm. Okay, the very first thing about Devin thing is like Devin is not the ideal thing you're going to work on. Matlab, it may improve over time, but it's not something that is meant to replace you. It's a prototype project. One thing. If I so I'm not going to comment on what it's doing, what it's not. I'm not analyzed it critically, but I've just had skimmed over things. Hmm. Yeah, true. This second thing I would say, obviously, things do have an impact. There's an interesting thing I'm going to go into the past, and it's not related with tech space. Uh, in 1800s, when Britishers were occupying India, there was a large scale of outset of snakes, which was a problem for them. They never dealt that situation. So somebody came up with the solution and immediate for like level one thinking that let's hire these people or launch a scheme that we'll pay you something for catching the snakes and reporting it to us. Now, the onset effect of that, what happened actually is people started stealing snakes and breeding snakes as a business. So the initial problem they wanted to solve actually exploded. So think about this. So exactly same thing over here with Amazon Fresh and whatever happened. So second order analysis and even lot many entrepreneurs, everybody has mentioned this second order analysis or higher order analysis is very important. It's an essential skill. It's hard. It's very hard, but yeah, it's an essential. Quantum bits to create LLMs. Yeah, they will significantly reduce complexity size, increase the computation space, and but yeah, quantum bits are very so I'm just reading the questions as I see them. About quantum computing, one thing is like it's not very highly developed at the scale we can use in production right now. It's coming up now. Basic things like Shor's algorithm actually prove that we are going to increase our computation space, which also means when you have these multiple states in one simple element like that qubit, you're going to not just limit yourself into 0 1 and the limits of the set. You are going to think about p-adic numbers and all those high stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see where we can come up. It's a very some sector I would say in research as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any more questions do we have? I'll give some questions.
Job as a fresher.
You're the fresher, then how can he will practically experience in AI and get the practical experience? Yeah. So, Saksham, I want to take this question. Like, if the person
Yes.
is not getting a job as a fresher, then how can he or she will get the practical experience on AI and ML, right? So, I think if you'll see in our industry, IT industry, especially from last 1 year or 2 year, we have a very huge thing or hype of creating portfolios, right? So whatever
Hmm.
you learn continuously, your experience comes from your learning, right? So whether you learn it in any other organization or you learn from any other sources or you learn from yourself, right? So whatever you are learning, try to build it, try to build a portfolio out of it, make it a showcase for other recruiters or any person. Be that intelligent, that person should come to you. Be that showcase, that person should reach out to you, like, you are the person, I have seen you have created something, I want you to enhance this on in my organization, this kind of thing, right? So out of the thing, you have to be very prepared. Out of the box, you have to think, and you have to be presentable everywhere, right? You have to showcase your works, whether it's a learning, whether it's a project deployment, whatever it is. You have to be present there. And apart from LinkedIn, there is a lot of platforms now. Nowadays, X is more getting booming for IT jobs and showcasing your works, right? So even if you're a fresher, put your energies or somewhere where you can get recruiters attracted, or apart from recruiters, the organization CEOs and all, or sometimes a CDOs person that can reach out to you with your skill set. So skill is everything. If you have a right skill presented in a right way, right platform, or obviously you get a job. There is nothing like freshers are not getting job. It's not like freshers are not getting job. Your skill set is not getting job. You have to upgrade yourself. You have to showcase your skill somewhere. Then only you can move ahead.
Excellent point. Because nobody, the way market is working in is you want people efficient. And right now, what I would say is you need to match a lot of checklists, and you need to, so the way you can attain is again practice. And yeah, obviously the guy who has certain insights on that, right?
One
Mm.
thing, Siksam, I like you to take this. Currently, a person is working as a cloud engineer, and what are the resources you'll suggest for a newbie to get started? And what is the basic difference between similarities between AI, ML, and data science in a layman's perspective?
So resources about, so some standard resources, there's a whole brilliant GitHub link I'll find up sometime later. But one thing is, about maths and data science. See, to just start it up, yeah, data science, obviously, you are going to start with there only, like basic analysis, predictions, and you'll start with basic algorithms, how the approach of AI came in. Like, how do you model real world problems into mathematical functions? And series of these mathematical constructs. So, knowledge of math helps. But now it's not when you once you're familiar with the terms, on implementation side, you might not need to worry so much about it. So if you're working as a cloud engineer, think about different other profiles you can come up in, like ML ops or AI ops. Interesting question over here is ML, AI, and data science. How are they different? One thing is there's a lot of overlap in these things, and let's inspect them from their own terminologies also. So machine learning is a branch, is a subset where you get the insights or the learning, like you define the learning structures from the data which is available. Sometimes, like now, we do have different structures on that. So it's about how do you manage the insights for reuse, and then you can actually change those insights or add on, explore more information. That's in a nutshell. AI
Yeah.
is a much larger spectrum when you build systems around it. Think about a whole intelligence system will be leveraging some CNN or a convolutional network or something to actually visualize or perceive. So the whole perception series of models. You're even able to fetch up tactile input from sensory nodes. So you're processing that input, streamlining that change. There's the data science component involved. How do you manage and model, remodel, refactor this data? How do you make sure these to solve these standard pitfalls we fall in? Underfitting, overfitting, hallucinations, these things. Maintaining the effective learning rate. And so those things are something which an expert data scientist will help in. But yeah, the boundaries are not very concrete. They're very, very much overlapping.
So one question like we have like a person is having a 3 years of experience as a backend developer in Python, but now he wants to switch in Microsoft companies.
Yeah, it's a very subjective question, and you have to actually reply on
So yeah, so like it's not a kind of thing like you particularly we can guide on you for Microsoft, but make context like or you can directly apply somewhere. But once if you get the opportunity to be on a desk where you can be as an interview, you prepare yourself a lot so that you can be a presentable. It should not be like if opportunities come to you for to give the interview for Microsoft, and it should not be like you have to fail there. So for
yeah,
that, you have to be very precise on your DSA things, your learnings. Go and search for all other Microsoft people who post their interview experience in YouTube and all. Go to certain platforms. Ask to some developers who are already in Microsoft, right? So that's
yeah,
a very good way to reach out somewhere if you are really dream companies to Microsoft, right? Because being in a 7 years of development, I never thought about it for Mang and Fang company. I never gave it a very important importance, right? Because as far as I know, learning is more important. Career is more important. So if you have a really dream to go to Microsoft, you have to stick to it. Go reach out some folks from Microsoft, ask them what is their experience, how is their day, how is a day is there as a backend developer. And you have to be presentable again. What I mentioned, you have to be presentable.
so true. So adding on to that, there's a long back I heard a talk or something. So they mentioned that it was around Google, but the insights are the same. So you just say that it's divided into two parts: get called for an interview and succeed the interview. So that's your offer. Now both of these parts are, and I know it's easy to say, but both of them are going to be having their own challenges in implementing that. Getting an interview call, I understand it's hard, but even what you said, the preparation, you need to be prepared before you get on. See mock interviews. Like with a company like Microsoft, you will have thousands of resources about how they interview experiences, maybe practice sessions from actual Microsoft engineers.
I'll put some light, like not just for a Microsoft or any other companies, right?
Maybe.
But being a developer or being in this industry as a software engineer, I'll just like to say something. Everyone
Hmm.
has heard about a book Ikigai, right? The main purpose was to the book was based on understand your soul or understand your purpose, right? The same way, if you are in IT industry, you have to understand your niche. You have to
Yes.
understand your purpose. If you want to go for a front end development, what extra things or what extra you can evolve as a front end developer. If you want to go as a back end developer, you always want to build something new or you always want to do a service kind of thing. If something is coming to you, you just build it because you have a good experience, or you have to make something a new as a product from your experience, right? So you
Yeah.
have to be very precise on your niche, like what actually you want to do with your skill sets.
Yeah. And
If you
also
have
about
a
the
very
career.
yeah, sorry, section.
Yeah. So yeah, the same thing. It's about the niche, and it's about how do you want to shape your career.
Yeah.
Let's say start thinking on what you actually want. Obviously, it's a lot of introspection. It's a lot of work, and eventually the opportunities are going to come to you. Now it's your job which kind of opportunities you want to select on. It's a lot of after a thorough introspection, you might not want to be in software engineering. That's also okay. uh, People, I've seen countless people shift even within 1 year after college. They shifted from software engineering to product management because that's what they know that they're going to do all this while. and they're very successful at it. It's about now the most profitable advice over here would be like start thinking in terms of careers and roles rather than company names like that.
Your skills and learning are never restricted to companies. That
Yeah.
thing you have to always keep on mind. Your learning and your skills are not at all restricted to companies. It's a kind of thing like your skill set should not be very useful for Microsoft or Google, but it is very useful for a startup which is paying
Mhm.
you more than a Microsoft and Google, right?
Yes.
So this
So
thing should be very kept in mind as always.
hmm.
Fine, Saksham. I think it was a very good and interactive session, and we had almost tried to reach and cater all the questions asked from the people, right? So I think it was a good.
Yeah. So
Definitely, it was a very, very insightful session. I think what I could get about it is like AI is not going to replace jobs, but then I think it's going to add more value to.
I think her net is this guy. I guess it's for me or for you, Saksham, also.
yeah, I see it's frozen. Like I don't
Yeah,
see.
no worries, no worries, right, fine. So, yeah, well, I'll take it. I'll take it like so from here. Yeah, I think she has very poor network or something. Fine. So, yeah, guys. So, as Candida mentioned already, we have a link. You can join on Recro. You can join our community. You can be on a top of it. We can have a very. We always do sessions and all. You can always be a part of this and do search for Recro rebates. You can always join our servers and all. Right. So, yeah, I think we'll wrap up here and see you guys soon on very next sessions and next thing where we'll try to organize it more frequently. Currently we are trying to having it once a month, but we'll try to have it more frequently if Saksam is free. So we'll try to get more mentors. We'll get to have more sessions on different things. Even you people can suggest us on a server, or you can request us on a website as well. You which topic and which thing you want to. And for anything, you can always reach out to Saksham on LinkedIn, and even I am there if you want to reach out to me anytime. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thanks.
guys. Join on
Yeah.
Saturday
Catch you soon.
evening. I
Yeah.
know Saturday evenings have a very private meaning for everyone. So thanks for devoting this time to us. Have a peace and stay blessed.
Got it. Got it. Fine, guys. We'll just I'm sending this Recro rebase link and profile links as well, and then I think we can wrap up. Thank you so much, guys.